Welcome and thank you for standing by. All participants are currently on a listen-only mode for the duration of today's session. Today's webinar is being recorded and may be posted publicly. If you have any objections, you may disconnect at this time. I would now like to turn the call over to your host from the U.S. Census Bureau, Linda. Linda, you may begin.
Thank you, Anthony. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Linda Lee, and I would like to welcome everyone to the Exploring Census Data webinar series. Today, we will be taking a dive into census programs on Gems of Census Data, where we will be highlighting two key sources of data, a business and a demographic program with data that can be crucial to your data search. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So a brief background about the Exploring Census Data webinar series. It is a series of monthly webinars presented by topics with real-life use cases. The webinars are presented by subject matter experts, and you'll have the opportunity to connect with our presenters using the Q&A feature throughout the presentation and during the Q&A segment at the end of the presentation. Now, the series has been around for many years, and we have recordings of past webinars posted on census.gov found under the Census Academy. The first link will lead you directly to the archive recordings, and today's recording, slides, and transcript will be available here in a few weeks. And if you'd like to learn more about our trainings, please use the second link to the Census Academy's main page. Please note that we are utilizing technology off-site, and we aim to provide you with the best experience possible. Should we experience any technical delays during our session, please utilize the chat feature to notify us of issues, and we will mitigate them as soon as possible. On our agenda today, I will briefly touch on about the Census Bureau. Then I'll turn the presentation over to my colleagues to go into today's programs and present materials from the American Community Survey, also known as the ACS, and the Business Dynamic Statistics, also known as the BDS. And today we have two speakers with extensive knowledge representing these programs. Our first speaker is Ryan Ricciardi. Ryan is a survey statistician with the American Community Survey. Ryan will present details about the ACS looking at demographic, economic, and household characteristics available from the survey. Ryan will also provide an opportunity to view a live demo on how to access the data. Then our next speaker is Spencer Knoll. Spencer is a supervisory survey statistician representing the Business Dynamic Statistics. Spencer will dive into the details about the BDS and take you on a journey about business establishments and firm characteristics. Finally, we will close out with a Q&A. Now, although we do have a section at the end dedicated to Q&A, please feel free to send in your questions during the presentation, and we will respond when possible. So about the Census Bureau is the federal government's largest of the 13 statistical agencies, where we conduct over 130 surveys each year, with some of our more well-known ones listed here. First on the list is the decennial census, which is conducted every 10 years, counting the population and housing. The next is the American Community Survey. This is the yearly survey on the nation's population. And in a moment, we will hear details about the ACS from Ryan. Now, from the business data side of the house, we have the economic census that measures American businesses. And the economic census has a public sector's counterpart called the Census of Governments. This is the official 5-year measure of the nation's state and local government sector. And now I would like to turn the presentation over to my colleague, Ryan. All yours, Ryan.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Linda. Give me one moment while I get set up here. Okay. Sorry about that. All right. Thank you, Linda. My name is Ryan Ricciardi, and I'm a statistician at the American Community Survey Office within the U.S. Census Bureau. And today I'm going to talk to you about this very important federal survey, the American Community Survey, or the ACS for short. The American Community Survey, or ACS, is the premier source of detailed information about the nation's people and housing. The survey samples approximately 3.5 million addresses each year. These data are collected continuously throughout the year to produce annual social, economic, housing, and demographic estimates for communities throughout the United States and Puerto Rico. The ACS covers more than 40 topics. The information collected by the ACS used to be collected on the decennial long-form census. The long form was last used on the 2000 census, and beginning in 2005, the ACS has been conducted every year. So now you get data published yearly rather than having to wait 10 years between estimates. Information from the ACS generates data that helps to inform how trillions of dollars in federal funds are distributed each year, supporting more than 300 known federal uses and countless non-federal uses. ACS data are timely because they are released the year immediately following the year in which they were collected. The ACS creates period estimates, which means they represent the characteristics of the population and housing over a specific data collection period. The ACS released estimates for 1 year and 5 year periods. And after years of extensive testing, the ACS was fully implemented in 2005, as I mentioned. The first ACS 1 year estimates were collected in 2005 and released in 2006. The first 5 year estimates were collected between 2005 and 2009 and released in 2010. This slide organizes all the topics covered in the ACS. Content can be grouped into 4 main types of characteristics: social, demographic, economic, and housing. Taking a closer look at each category of information, on the left here are social characteristics, and those include topics like educational attainment, language spoken at home, and veteran status. The ACS also collects basic demographic characteristics like sex, age, race, and Hispanic origin. Economic characteristics include such topics as commuting to work, employment status, and income. On the right in orange are housing characteristics, which include topics like computer and internet use, utilities, and home value. The topics listed on this slide are used to produce over 1,000 tables for local communities each year. Along with the numerous topics covered, the ACS also provides data for more geographies on an annual basis than any other household survey. The image on this slide shows some of the geographies for which ACS data are produced and the relationship between them. The lower geographic areas fit neatly within the larger areas directly connected with lines. So for example, school, congressional, and state legislative districts fit neatly within states and do not cross state boundaries. However, they may cross boundaries of counties or metropolitan areas. In this visualization, you can also see the smallest geographic building block is the block group, and block groups generally include between 600 and 3,000 people each. The wide range of available geographies is a big strength of the ACS, as it has the most geographies of any Census Bureau survey. We offer many different types of data products to meet the needs of our data users. Pre-tabulated profiles and tables are products that are already created for you. The data profiles are good places to start for novice data users, as they contain the most frequently requested social, economic, housing, and demographic data in a single profile. The data profiles summarize the data for a single geographic area, providing both estimates and percentages to cover basic data on all ACS topics. Tables provide a precise or detailed view of a subject. They are the best source for the most comprehensive ACS tables. So for example, you could find an education table or an income table that provides a deep dive on many statistics related to education or income. If you're not able to find an existing table to meet your needs, we also offer public use microdata sample or PUMS files that allow you to create custom tables. HUMS files contain a sample of individual records of people and households that responded to the survey. These data are stripped of all identifying information, and they can be aggregated to produce your own custom tables. HUMS files are best for data users with expertise in using statistical packages. Catering to a variety of data users with unique needs, we have a variety of data access tools. This is a list of 3 of those tools. Data.census.gov is the Census Bureau's main data dissemination platform to access Census Bureau statistics. QuickFacts provides selected statistics for all states and counties and for cities and towns with a population of 5,000 or more. It combines data from the ACS and several other Census Bureau data sets. And there is Census Business Builder, which provides selected demographic data from the ACS and economic data from the Census Bureau to help users start or grow a business or to better understand the business landscape for a region. All these data tools and more are available from census.gov. Choose the Explore Data tab from the ribbon at the top of that screen, and then click on Data Tools and Apps to view a comprehensive list of all the Census Bureau tools and apps. So now I'd like to begin the live demonstration portion of this webinar. I know I just mentioned some common ways to access ACS data, but for this demonstration, I'd like to show you some data products I didn't mention: the ranking tables and the geographic comparison tables. Then I will jump into one of the data tools I did mention, which is data.census.gov. So with that, let's get started. I will jump over 1 second to census.gov. Perfect. So first I'd like to show you ranking tables. As their names suggest, ranking tables are CSV files that rank all 50 states, the District of Columbia, and Puerto Rico on certain data points. It also tells you if the differences are statistically significant or not. There are 89 different ranking tables available, and each one is for a different data point. Some ranking table examples include ranking all states, DC, and Puerto Rico on median household income or by percent of children without health insurance. So how do we retrieve ranking tables? Well, first we're going to go to the main census website, census.gov. Under Surveys and Programs, we're going to select American Community Survey. Now we're on the ACS main page. We're going to select Data on the left here. Then Data Tables. Now you see on the left, these are all the different types of ACS tables. We're looking for ranking tables, so I'll click that. Now you can find the list of ranking tables here. There are a fair amount of them, as you can see. You can scroll down here. Here at the top, you can see that there's the title, there's the topic, and there's the table ID. You can also filter by any one of these categories. So I'm going to filter by topic just to organize all the ranking tables by topic. And if you scroll down, you can see that there's 3 different pages of tables. I have an industry and occupation table in mind that I want to show you. So I am going to go over to page 2 here. And you can see all of the industry and occupation tables are grouped together right here. So let's say I am interested in the percent of the employed population who are employed in manufacturing, ranked by all states. So I would want to click on table R2404 right here. It says percent of civilian employed population 16 years and over in the manufacturing industry. So I click that, and you can see it's going to ask me to automatically download it. I actually already have it saved, so let me jump over to ranking table. This is what it will bring to you once you download it. As you can see in this file, it has the percentage of the employed population in manufacturing for each state. We can see that the state at the top of the list here is Indiana at 18.5%, followed by Wisconsin at 18.4%. This compares to the national average of 9.9%, which is available right here at the very top and also right here. And we can see that the difference between the selected geography and the other states is statistically significant or not. As you may recall from a high school statistics class, when a data point is statistically significant, that means it is unlikely to have occurred by chance. I can also change the selected state at the top here. Currently, it is set for the entire United States. But let's just say, oh, I'm sorry, I have to click Enable Editing. This option here where it says select your geography, and it's, as you can see, it's currently set to the United States. When I click that, it brings a drop-down menu of all the states here. So let's just say I wanted to see how Missouri compares to the rest of the United States. So I will scroll down until I find Missouri. I see it right there. So I will click that. And you can see here it has my estimate placed at the top at 11.5%. And if you scroll down, you can see which ones are statistically significant from Missouri and which states are not statistically significant from Missouri. That's in the red here. So those are the ranking tables. This is just one of the 89 ranking tables. You can browse through all of them if you like, but I want to show you another type of table called the geographic comparison tables. So I'm going to jump back to census.gov. So now I want to show you geographic comparison tables. On the left here, you can see under all types of tables, we'll click that. There are 96 geographic comparison tables, which means there are 96 different data points for which you can compare across all geographies in the US in a single file. This differs from ranking tables because there is no ranking of the data. Rather, there simply are data points for many geographies. As you can see, the layout is similar to the ranking tables. That they're organized by topic and table ID, and as well as title. So let's just say I wanted to know, for example, the percent of people who commuted to work by public transportation, which is, oops, I'm sorry. Okay, here we are. We wanted to find the a geographic comparison table for the percent of people who commuted to work by public transportation. To find that, I'm going to select the geographic comparison table that corresponds to it, which you can see here, there's a lot of options, but this one right here, percent of workers 16 years and over who travel to work by public transportation, excluding taxi cab. I have this file already downloaded, so I'm just going to jump to it really quickly. If you clicked on it, it would download it just like the ranking table. Now, when we open up this file, you can see that it is quite a bit larger than the one we were just looking at. It's pretty detailed. In fact, if you jump to the bottom of the file here, you can see that there are 7,369 geographies. That is a lot of public transportation data. So if we jump back to the top here, you can see, you may be wondering, well, what exactly are we looking at here? It's a little intimidating. First, I want to point out, if you expand the geo name column right here, that's column C, I'm just going to drag it out. You can see these are all of our geographies, and you can see the full name of it as well. You could ignore column D here. That is a identifier number. Column E here has the estimate. So for the entire United States, you can see at the very top here. Actually, let me zoom in a little bit for you. Oh, that's a little better. So you can see for the entire United States, 3.1% of people employed take public transportation to work. I can also see that that number is 3.8% for urban areas, and it is 0.3% for rural areas, which you can see in rows 4 and 5 right here. And if I scroll down just a little bit, I can start seeing the numbers for all the states. Now we know that there are over 7,000 geographies in this file. So let's search for one in particular. Let's say I'm curious to know how many people in the Los Angeles metro area take public transportation to work. So I'm going to Control F for a search, and then I'm going to type in Los Angeles. And then when I do that, there's the county, the place, the city of Los Angeles itself, and then there it is, the Los Angeles, Long Beach, Anaheim, California metro area. And I can see that the statistic is 3.1%, which is the same as the national average. So this shows you the power of geographic comparison tables. There is a substantial number of geographies available in these tables, more than the 50 states plus DC and Puerto Rico that we saw in ranking tables. And there are many different types of tables with different topics. One key difference between geographic comparison tables and ranking tables is that the geographic comparison tables, there is no statistically significant tool within the tables. However, we do have a statistical testing tool on our website where you could plug in the values, and we will send a link out in the chat for this statistical testing tool. Now, let me jump back to the final portion of my live demonstration. So the last portion I want to talk about is data.census.gov. So to get there, you simply, in your browser search, type in data.census.gov. All right. So from here, you can either start typing directly into the search box here. You can enter a table ID if you know exactly what you're looking for, or you can start typing a geography or a topic. But if you don't know what exactly you're looking for, you can always select the advanced search option here. So I'll click that. This brings you to a new view. From here, you can see the left nav has geographies, topics, surveys, and more. So I want to show you an industry table. So we're going to go to topics here, then employment, and then industry. And then we're going to click search in the bottom right. This now brings me a list of tables. You can browse this list of tables for any table that interests you. If you scroll down here, you can see there are 949 options. I wanted to show you table S2404, industry by sex for the full-time civilian employed population, 16 years and over. So I click that. Now, when I open up this table, you can scroll down to see estimates for each industry. As you can see, some have subcategories as well. In addition to scrolling up and down to this table, you can also scroll left and right. Scrolling to the right shows you a breakdown of employment in each industry by male and female, with estimates and percent estimates for each. Now, currently, this table is set for the entire United States. But what if you want to see this same table, but for other geographies? As I mentioned earlier in my presentation, the ACS has a large number of geographies. Geographies can include state, county, census tract, and many more. Let's get this same table, but for metropolitan statistical areas, or MSAs, for California, building off of that Los Angeles example we just looked at. And to do that, we would go to the left nav here. Under geographies, we would select metropolitan/micropolitan statistical area. Then you see a list. Just a second. Then you see a list of all MSAs in the US ordered alphabetically. But we want just the MSAs in California. So what do? You'll want to select within other geographies up here, then state. Then we'll select California. And then finally, we'll select this first option for all metropolitan and micropolitan statistical areas fully or partially within California. So we'll go ahead and click that. Now, as you can see, it's loading in the back. Let's go back to the table view to see what we got. And you can always click these left pointing arrows to expand the table view to make it easier to view. As you can see, the table has adjusted to be for all MSAs within California. I can scroll to the right here. The first one we have is Bakersfield, California metro area. You keep going, Chico, California, Clear Lake, and so on and so forth. One last thing, I mentioned 1 year and 5 year estimates earlier. And as you can see in this banner, this banner, 1 year estimates are only available if the geography has 65,000 or more people. We can toggle between 1 year and 5 year by clicking this drop-down menu here. Clicking this 5 year estimates option will add more geographies to this table, and you can also scroll down and toggle between years as well, so you can see data for 2021 and going all the way back to 2010. And so this is data.census.gov. It is more advanced than the ranking tables and geographic comparison tables I showed you, but it has substantially more detailed data. So I hope that is helpful. And let's go back to the main presentation. Okay. A wide variety of people and organizations use ACS data. Journalists, researchers, businesses, governments, and more all use ACS data. As I mentioned earlier, information from the ACS generates data that help inform how trillions of dollars in federal funds are distributed each year. With these stories and your own uses of ACS data, it's easy to say the ACS is important for decision making, not just in government, but in many other areas as well. Building off that idea, we have a collection of stories from organizations who have used ACS data. You can explore all these data stories to learn about how ACS data is used. One such story you can read about in this collection is how the metropolitan government of Nashville and Davidson County, Tennessee, uses ACS data to better understand economic mobility and social well-being for residents of Nashville. The government produces annual reports about the community using ACS data. The government also uses ACS data to aid in the provision of social services. This is just one of many organizations using ACS data to support local communities. You can read more about the Nashville Metropolitan Social Services, as well as many other organizations, in our ACS Data Stories page. The link is shown on the bottom of this slide. And if you're so inclined, you could have your organization featured on this page by filling out a short form, which is also available on this webpage. As I wrap up my portion of this presentation, I'd like to provide you with resources for staying in touch with the ACS. The 3 QR codes on this slide provide you with links to connect with us. The QR code on the left is for the ACS Share Your Story webpage. This is the ACS Data Stories page I was just talking about. If you use ACS data in any way, we would love to hear about it, and you could also be featured on our website. The middle QR code will take you to the ACS Data Users Group, which is a website and online community with over 5,500 members where you can share messages, materials, and announcements related to the survey. Membership is free and open to all interested ACS data users. Finally, using the QR code on the right, you can sign up for and manage email updates from the ACS. This monthly newsletter will alert you when new materials are available, and you'll stay updated on our data releases. And with that, I'd like to turn the presentation over to my colleague, Spencer.
Okay, thanks, Ryan. Hi, everyone. My name is Spencer Knoll, and I am the section chief here over the Business Dynamics Statistics data product. Let's get into it. Business Dynamics Statistics, or BDS, is a time series that provides annual measures of employer business dynamics for the economy overall, and then aggregated by establishment and firm characteristics. The U.S. economy is comprised of millions of establishments with paid employees. The employment of these businesses is constantly churning. Some businesses grow and then others decline or close altogether. And new businesses, new firms are constantly replenishing this pool. The Business Dynamics Statistics Data Program tracks these changes over time and provides annual measures of establishment openings and closings, firm startups and shutdowns, and job creation and destruction. Published variables for all BDS datasets include the counts of firms and establishments, employment in the pay period, which includes March 12th, opening and closing firm and establishment numbers, and then their associated rates, the total jobs created and jobs destroyed by all firms and establishments, and then also jobs created and destroyed by by openings and closings, and then their associated rates. All our data sets are categorized by year, which is included within all data sets, and then along with geographic variables such as state, county, metropolitan/micropolitan statistical area, and then a metro/non-metro classification. We have industry categories that include sector, or the 2-digit NAICS code, which is the North American Industry Classification System code, and then along with 3-digit subsector and 4-digit industry codes. The age and size of establishments and firms, which includes the initial establishment and firm size, are other categories of note. And so what sets the BDS apart is that the BDS is unique from other census data products because of its time series aspect, which currently spans from 1978 through 2021. And with each BDS release, the entire time series from 1978 until the most recent published year is recreated and then produced with updated data. The data that I share with you today is through 2021, but the 2022 BDS data will be available in about a month on September 26th. So BDS sources its data primarily from administrative records, while also incorporating some county business patterns data edits. So CBP is another economic data product that's produced by the Census Bureau. And then employer establishments are then linked across our time series in the longitudinal business database, or what we call the LBD. And this database is used to create the BDS. The LBD is a confidential database that's available to qualified researchers through secure federal statistical research data centers. And the LBD was originally designed by the Census's Center for Economic Studies, or CES. This was for use by researchers, but a growing demand of these tabulations from the database led CES to develop this now publicly available BDS research product. And as BDS has shifted to become a standard Census Bureau statistical data product, responsibility for this LBD and BDS production system has gradually shifted over to us in the Economic Directorate. Our data are available, once again, at different geographic coverages, including the total US level, or what we call economy-wide, and then by specific states, counties, and metropolitan micropolitan statistical areas. And then along with that, our scope and industry coverage follow county business patterns, which I spoke about a little bit ago. However, BDS only publishes down to the 4-digit NAICS industry level. And the BDS's major industry-based exclusions would include some examples such as employees of private households, railroad employees, agricultural production employees, and then most government employees are also excluded. Therefore, BDS data represent the practical totality of all private non-agricultural employer firms throughout the economy. Okay, where can you find BDS data? So you can find our published data in a variety of different formats to suit your needs. We do offer 13 data tables on data.census.gov, which Ryan was just showing us. These same data points are parsed out into 134 different CSV data sets for download, which are available on our BDS website. Along with this, the full time series is available through the Census API and through the BDS Explorer, where you can utilize interactive charts, tables, and maps of our data. And this is what I'm going to be doing a live demonstration of here in a few minutes. To protect confidentiality, BDS disclosure avoidance is consistent with disclosure methodology of CBP, or County Business Patterns, the data product that I previously mentioned that feeds into BDS tabulated data. And just like CBP, noise infusion is our primary method of disclosure avoidance. A random noise multiplier is applied to employment and job flow statistics. We also protect businesses' confidentiality within our data by utilizing the following suppression flags. We suppress cells that include data from fewer than 3 firms, or cells that have identified data quality concerns, along with structurally missing or structurally 0 cells, and cells that are just not available or not able to be calculated for various reasons. BDS statistics are broken down into kind of 2 main categories here. So first we have establishment age and establishment size, which are of course establishment employment changes and entry and exit patterns as a function in an establishment. We also have firm age and firm size, which are also establishment job flows and then entry and exit patterns, but as a function of the firm with which they are associated to. And please note that anytime that industry and geography are assigned at the establishment level rather than for the entire firm. A few of our different dynamic statistics that are published in the BDS are job creation, which is the sum of all employment gains from expanding establishments and then startups. Also job destruction, which is the sum of all employment losses from establishments that are either contracting or shutting down. And then net job creation, which is just the difference between the two, job creation and job destruction. We also have associated rates for job creation, job destruction, and net job creation. And a particular data point of interest, which is the employment contribution of firm births, or this would be firm startups, can be measured by finding the job creation from establishments that have a firm age associated with them that is equal to 0. And this next portion of my presentation is going to be a live demonstration of how to access our data through the BDS Explorer. Please excuse me, I'm going to turn my camera off for this part of the demonstration just to ensure that I don't encounter any delays loading our interactive graphs and maps. Give me 1 second. Okay. So first, I am going to go over a few high-level features of the BDS Explorer. So overall, the BDS Explorer pulls in data from the Census API and thus enables comprehensive access to all of our BDS data. By changing any of these settings on the right here, you can create a visual display of each BDS data point that is published on data.census.gov. At the top, we have the options of bar chart, which you're currently on, a line graph, our map view, and a simple table display. The available selections in the settings panel on the right and the filters down below They do vary depending on which method you're using to visualize the data, and they will automatically adjust based on your selections. I'm going to click on BDS Explorer up here at the top to reset the page. So our bar chart offers the most flexibility of all the visual displays. You can select a measure of interest, selecting measure here, and this will define your y-axis. You can also control the x-axis here by selecting specific years or other categorical features, along with the group feature. And this group feature allows you to see multiple points on the y-axis for each sector that's currently here just being displayed on the x-axis. And you can also use filters, like I said, down here below to subset the data even further. Scroll down to show all the filters here. Going into the line graph a little bit, it's most useful for visualizing the longitudinal nature of our very long time series, which, as you can see, dates back to 1978. You can slice and subset the data many different ways here, but it's always going to be plotted across time. And the map feature, of course, highlights our geographic-based data. When we slice by geography, we are limited to displaying 1 year at a time and then 1 measure at a time, but you can add additional filters to subset the data. And as you can see, we no longer have the option here to break out by 3 or 4 digit industry, NAICS industry, because we don't publish anything greater than NAICS sector level detail currently at the subnational level. And then each of these visual displays that you see also feature the option to download the data that's used in the demonstration. So if you hover over here, or used in the visualization, excuse me, and the resulting CSV file that you'll get when you click on this will be similar to what you see when you click on table. So it'll be very similar to this. Okay, now let's dive into a few data highlights. I'm going to reset the page once again. And throughout this demonstration, we are going to highlight 4 sectors, which include manufacturing, retail trade, professional, scientific, and technical services, and accommodation and food services. And we're going to see how they compare to each other in 2021 and how they have changed across the 44-year time series. We will also dive into our map view to get a better look at select state and county level data. First, I'm going to deselect this group option here. And starting with our bar chart option, we're going to look at job creation among these 4 sectors, which are the default 4 sectors that automatically comes up with the BDS Explorer. And here we are looking at total job creation. And you can see that the retail trade sector created over 1.54 million jobs in 2021, followed by accommodation and food services at over 1.48 million jobs. Clicking on this small share button here under the x-axis allows you to, will give you the percentage of jobs that are created by these sectors as a share of the total job creation for all industries, or for all sectors. So as you can see, retail trade comes in at just shy of 10.6%, while manufacturing is actually the lowest at just over 6.7%. I'm going to deselect share, and then I'm going to actually add back firm age here in the group. And we're going to use this to compare how the 5 firm age categories stack up across our sectors of interest. So you're quickly able to identify, looking at this, that most jobs in the manufacturing to the left here and the retail trade sectors right beside it were actually created by these 2 oldest firm age categories, which are firms that which consist of firms that are 11 or more years old and firms born before 1977. So anything over 11 or more years old. Accommodation and food services, on the other hand, is more evenly distributed across the 5 age groups. And notoriously, this sector actually has one of the highest percentages of jobs that are created by startup firms, or the dark blue here, which is firms that are less than 1 year old. I'm going to click on share percentage under group this time. And that's going to give you, as it loads here, a share percentage of 29% in 2021. And this can be seen, okay. And then on the opposite side of the spectrum is actually manufacturing, where we see only 8.7% of manufacturing jobs were created created by startup firms. I'm going to change the group selection here to measure. And selecting measure within the group dropdown, it gives us the option to look at multiple different measures or variables of interest for each sector that we have currently selected on the x-axis. I'm going to select job creation, job destruction, and then add net job creation to this. And then you can also update the year of interest in the filters at any time you would like. If you toggle back to 2020, you can see how the values adjust. Switch it back to 2021. So a state or a county or MSA of interest can also be selected in the filters. So let's go ahead and select California here in the state dropdown. We'll see how the data adjusts when an individual state is selected. As you can see, specifically for California, over 377,000 more jobs were destroyed than were created in California, specifically for the accommodation and food services sector in the year 2021. I'm going to deselect California for now, and I'm going to change this group dropdown to year, so we can actually group by year as well. And then I'm going to update the measure to job creation rate, which is in this rate section here down in the measures. This one final bar chart example that I have involves selecting year as the group variable, which I switched it to. This allows you to see the changes throughout time for selected sectors that are on the x-axis. When year is selected, the Explorer defaults to the most recent 5 years of data. And one thing that really sticks out to me here looking at this is the consistent decrease in job creation rate from 2017 to 2021 within the accommodation and food services sector. All right, switching over to line graph, and I'm going to also update the measure to employment. Again, I'm going to change, since the x-axis is now year, I'm going to change the group to sector. Now I'm going to give this a second to load. Okay, so using the line graph will give a more complete picture of how these 4 sectors have transformed over time. So shown here is the total employment among the 4 sectors for each year from 1978 through 2021. And as you can see, manufacturing, the blue line, has declined over the course of the time series, while the other 3 sectors have grown. Clicking on this special index to 1978 button here, you can compare these 4 sectors against each other a little bit easier by setting them all to the same starting point of 100% in 1978. And this tells us that based on percentage change, that professional, scientific, and technical services sector has increased the most among the 4 sectors displayed here. And the 2021 employment total is at 427% actually of the 1978 figure, while the manufacturing sector figure is only at about 64% of the 1978 figure. It's also an option, again, to select share here to see how the percentage of total employment in each industry has changed over time. So looking back here at the beginning of the time series, a whopping 26% of all jobs were held within the manufacturing sector. But this has, of course, fallen to just over 9% in 2021. And the growth of many other sectors throughout the economy, combined with the decline in manufacturing, has contributed to this shift. Deselect share. Okay, the filters on the bottom right here give us options to subset the data and look at more detailed information for our selected measure and group in the settings. So let's say we are interested in my previously mentioned small business startups. We can use the filters to show the employment that is held by brand new firms that have less than 20 employees. So to do this, I will scroll down and select a firm age category of 0 years and a firm size category of 1 to 19 employees. So looking here, in 2021, small firm startup employment within Sector 72, accommodation and food services, actually fell to the lowest point since 2002, even though these firms still created and held over 315,000 jobs. To deselect any filters that you have selected, simply hover over them and select the red X. Okay, switching over to the map view. The BDS Explorer map view is an excellent way to compare BDS data across different geographies. And although you can view the data for any year in the time series, only 1 year is able to be displayed at a time. I'm going to update our measure to net job creation. And then take a look at state level data for the manufacturing sector, specifically among firms with 500 or more employees. So first, I select manufacturing for the NAICS sector. And then next, I'm going to select the firm size category of 500 or more for our largest firm size. And displayed here, you can see the 2021 net job creation among manufacturing establishments that are part of a firm that has greater than 500 employees across all of the firm's establishments. Okay, a couple more examples here. I'm going to update to net job creation rate and give our most detailed geography by industry breakdown is county by sector. So to view all the counties within a particular state, simply select county from the geography dropdown. And notice that the default selection brings up all the counties in California. And the map view automatically keeps the filter selection of the manufacturing sector, but it lost the filter selection of firm size of 500 or more because we don't have that level of detail at the county level. Notice this wide range of outcomes among the different counties here, especially in Northern California, where the measure, when the measure is updated to reflect net job creation rate, hovering over any individual county will give you the county name and net job creation rate of interest. If you notice the yellow county, Sierra, which says the rate cannot be calculated, and this is due to that fact that there are 0 manufacturing firms in this county in 2021. And similarly, the orange counties of Lassen and Alpine are suppressed because there are less than 3 manufacturing firms. And then these various counties with a little bit darker shades of blue are the few in the state that actually had a net job creation rate of greater than 7. And finally, switching over to Sector 72, I can update that in the filters here, which is accommodation and food services. This allows us to analyze these counties across 2 very different sectors here. So notice how the color ranges on the legend automatically adjust based on the data that you're viewing. So for example, the range of outcomes in this sector is much more negative than it was in the manufacturing sector. And according to this, only 3 counties in California created more jobs than were destroyed in 2021, specifically in the accommodation and food services sector. And this concludes my live demonstration of the BDS Explorer. Give me a second to switch back to presentation. Okay. And as a reminder, one last reminder that the 2022 BDS data will be available on September 26th. And we're happy to answer any questions here in the time that we have left, but please don't hesitate to reach out to our team directly at the email address provided. Once again, my name is Spencer Knoll, and thank you for your time today. I'm going to pass it back to Linda.
Thank you, Spencer, and thank you everyone for your time and interest in attending today's webinar. And thank you to both of our speakers today for presenting our audience with important statistics available from the Census Bureau. So today we highlighted 2 programs that can be helpful when looking for data to help in decision-making process. Please come join us again next month on September 19th at 2 p.m. for a presentation on the economic census, a comprehensive source for business data, where our experts will be highlighting recently released data from the island areas and discuss upcoming releases that can be crucial to your research. Before we begin the Q&A portion of this webinar, please take note of the contact information on this slide for anyone that may be interested in a hands-on in-person training. We have data dissemination specialists that are available to provide this service. If you have questions or need more information after the webinar, please feel free to email us at census.askdata@census.gov. And at this moment, to ask your question, please submit your questions using the Q&A feature, and I will read the questions aloud to our presenters to respond verbally. Please also note that if we are unable to address your questions in this session, feel free to contact us using the contact information listed here. So let me go ahead and check out the Q&A section. And this is for Becky. Yes, I will go ahead and respond to your question on the recording of this webinar. This webinar is recorded and should be available on the Census Academy page within a couple weeks. And while we're waiting for questions to come in, I just want to promote the Census Academy, where all archived webinars are archived there in this session and other webinar series as well. And on the Census Academy, you are able to also see other types of courses as well that can help you when you're doing a data search. And let's check back with the Q&A section. I'll give it a minute here. It looks like all the questions have been answered in the Q&A section, and I do not see at this time new questions rolling in. So I would like to express our thanks to everyone again for attending today's webinar. I will pass it over to Anthony, our facilitator. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you for all that joined today. This concludes today's session. You may disconnect at this time. Have a good afternoon.